in
So how do they make decisions?
So I call it like the Supreme Court of the Sidemen.
Hi Jordan, thank you for coming. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, your age, name, and where you're from?
Of course. So yes, I'm Jordan Schwarzenberger. I am 24 years old and I'm from North London.
And what are you working on at this time?
Yeah, so I am one of the co-founders of Arcade Media. There's three of us, myself, Aaron and Sam, and we're the management team for the Sidemen. So the Sidemen, if you don't know, they're the biggest content creators in Europe, one of the biggest in the world. And our aim really for them is to help build out the Sidemen brand into like the biggest entertainment franchise from the UK. They're one of those whereby over a certain generation, people might not know them, but under a certain generation, everyone knows them. And it's the kind of thing where you say, ask your kids if you don't know.
Amazing. And what's your strengths and I guess weaknesses as well within the organization?
So strengths I think are speed. I think we've learned to move really quickly and make stuff happen, which I think compared to corporate big companies, it's a lot easier to do that when you're a team of 6, 7, a core team of 3, 4, having no sort of meetings for meeting's sake, like hierarchy, sort of blocking things. It's us and the boys, so we can make stuff happen. Weaknesses, I think, is probably doing too much. The boys are so once in a generation in terms of the opportunity they have. And for us, we are 100% focused on them. Like, we don't have any other clients because our whole ethos is do much, much more with less rather than try and spread between thousands of clients, hundreds of clients. So our biggest challenge with them is that they have every opportunity available to them. How do we not do things? How do we say no to things? How do we keep our own stability as a team and our own resource right? Because ultimately, there's a lot happening constantly, and there's an endless ceiling of things that they could do.
So you're the manager of the Sidemen. What do you think makes them different from other collectives?
Yeah, so I think the boys are, I say they're once in a generation, not just I think because of their scale and the fact they've really grown with an audience for 10 years, which is literally once in a generation. You don't get that, you won't get that again for a long time. But I think they also are because of their ability to work together. And I think it's something which sets them apart massively is that they can make decisions.
So how do they make decisions?
So it's a system. So it's a proper process. So I call it like the Supreme Court of the Sidemen. I think I'm the only person to say that, but it's like they have a 4-3 set, 7, right? So if it gets 4, then a thing passes.
Oh, like a democracy, like voting system.
Yeah, right. You have to find a governmental system for big decisions in ultimately a group of people or a group of directors, which is what they are.
Do you find it very different working with each one of them?
Not that we don't manage all the individuals as well as the 7, right? We manage the 7. We work with some of them, but obviously in different ways. The 7's our focus. And I find for me, managing 7 is a lot easier than managing one talent separately, because in a way, the 7 comes to a better conclusion because everything has to pass through the rigor of 7 of them. So if it's a good idea, it will get through. If it's a bad idea, it won't get through. And they're very good at making calls and being direct about if they like something or they don't like something. Again, that's how you have to get to, that's how they've got to the success they've had. So I think for me, the 7 collective structure is actually brilliant because it means everything's very objective, very rational. It goes through that democratic process of majority vote wins. It never feels like an emotional or a one-man leading the way thing. It's very objective and very much a sort of collective consensual decision every time. So it's amazing.
How do you find within the organization, like yourself and the co-founders, do you feel like you're complementing each other? Are you quite different?
Yeah. I think we've had success because, so far, because we work with each other and we work within each other's strengths, and we don't really have that much overlapping. So, for example, Sam and Aaron are actually both accountants by trade. And obviously I'm from a creative background, so it works perfectly, right? It's like, you guys deal with all the boring money stuff that they love. Like, yeah, you get stuck into your spreadsheets.
The important and boring bits.
They're very important, more important than anything else, but very boring things that I'm not very good at. And then I'll do all the creative strategy, sort of visioning and the abstract stuff. So it works perfectly well, and it means that, again, it's a real blessing to work with them because actually we have every base covered. And also it means that the business mechanics, which are often the bit, often you get 2 creatives coming together. Rarely do you get 2 people or 3 people who come from completely different backgrounds working together.
What's your personal definition of success, and Did it change over time?
I've never had like an ambition for anything. I don't sit saying I want to build this thing or I want to be this thing or be in this role. I've never had that. Really, the only time actually ever was when I was at school and I wanted to get a first job as a creative advice. That was the only thing. That's the only time I'd ever said I want this. So, but I think back then my definition of success would be to keep evolving, keep progressing, keep moving through the business that I was in, and to ultimately get to a financial point where things are stable and I can have more options with life. Nothing crazy, but just being able to have a decent life, right?
Yeah.
And then I think coming out of that now and having a baby, my wife and I had our first baby back in January 2020. It was like a lifetime ago with everything that's gone on in the world, right? And I think for me then it became about time, actually. And my definition of success was how much of my time do I have and how much of my time can I keep and reserve for my family. And that's now my definition of success. It's actually doing many things and keeping on evolving, keeping on growing on the business side, but having more time or the same amount of time for my family as I've now sort of bookmarked in my life. Like, this is my time now for them. And I think if I can keep that up, then I would have done my job, because then I'm delegating properly, I've got a good team around me, I'm not stressed, and my family time is number one. And so I think that's how I've evolved, is to more about protecting time, because that's more valuable than any business success for me and for us, I think. Protecting time whilst also succeeding. If I get that right, then I've done well.
Great, Jordan. So the team actually took some screenshots of some posts about your life. So I'm going to show it and ask you some questions. So it's about, when you dropped out of university. And for me, like interviewing people, it's interesting because should I look at education? Do you think it's important having education as a part? Or?
So it's one of the things that I'm personally probably too aggressive on as a topic.
Cool, yeah.
I can only really speak for this creative space more than any other, right? I can't speak for being a doctor or being a lawyer or something.
Of course,
the more strictly, hierarchical and clearly kind of you have to go on this journey. There's a clear route, you have to do it. I get it. But for the creative entertainment space, from everything I've seen, it's a complete waste of time.
What would you do if you got approached by KLC to deliver like a guest lecture?
By Kings?
Yeah.
I'd do it until everyone to drop out. Honestly.
It's like,
because
it's just Jordan.
Yeah, hi, please leave. Bro, I did a talk with people from university, I think at MediaCom, I want to say it was, about 3 years ago, and I said about like, don't do it, like drop out. And I remember getting some very stern looks from the people who were chaperoning, because I think for me, from my experience in the space, the success comes from being immersed in it and just getting on with it. And that's why I have such a thing about uni, because it's so slow. It takes 3-4 years of one's life, costs a lot of money. It'd be different if it was free maybe, but still be a waste of time. And again, you can't get time back. And I see everybody go through the system and come out in a worse position. The amount of people who actually get success in terms of jobs is minimal, really, from the university degree. It might be from something else, but it's like you're told that uni will get you on the front foot, and it's the opposite. You start off on the other side, on the back foot, because you're in debt, you've spent many years, you're back at your parents most likely, if you're fortunate enough to have a parental home to go to, which always, again, isn't always the case. Yeah. And then you're looking for jobs and you're trying to find your entry position at 24, 23.
Yeah.
And that's why I bang this drum, because I think for people who are on the younger side, who haven't started that journey yet, if they can just hear how much of a waste of time it will be and how much of a waste of money it will be, and it's not worth all the partying and all the social life in and all of that, is
not just
worth.
Do that anyways.
You can do that anyway, right? But also, real life comes at you fast, and you're delaying the inevitable. And I hear that phrase from so many people who go through the system. They know it. They're delaying the inevitable.
Going back to the products, because you're very creative as well. How do you feel about the guy in the box?
Elon Musk?
Yeah. You can describe like in 3 words.
3 words, disruptive, quite bold, and maybe controversial.
Controversial, yeah. I think
it comes up.
Everyone's saying that.
Yeah.
Controversial.
But now, I don't know, he's been doing his thing for so long.
Yeah, it's true. Tell me a time you made a mistake.
Made a mistake? Ooh.
A memorable mistake.
I've got one. So one mistake I definitely made. So picture the scene. It's 2018. I'm like 19 years old or 20 years old and I'm coming in at this position of like, chief creative officer at a big company with like 300 people. One thing where I definitely needed guidance and I didn't do it right was how do you play that, right? If you're young and you're coming into an organization where you instinctively feel like you're not going to be respected because of your age, and you've got a title that also is quite a big responsibility and a job that requires you to move and drive, and you're telling people what to do to an extent, or you're having some...
Yeah, they're maybe older than you as well,
They're
right?
much older than me, so how do you reconcile that? And so one definite mistake was not being that sensitive of that at the beginning, and having to have a real reality check with Mary, who was my MD at the time. She's now the CEO. She's an amazing mentor, friend of mine. She was brilliant. She's the one who brought me through. Who basically had to say, like, you're rubbing off the wrong way to some people. Like, can be a bit arrogant or a little bit, not the most collaborative. Because obviously I was coming in saying, and as the person to bring about change. And when there are people who've been doing things in a way, how does that change feel to those people if you're not coming in a sensitive way? So I definitely had to learn quite quickly to like slow right down. And as she always said, bring people with you. Like, learn to go on the journey with people rather than you stepping out over here and expecting everyone to just follow you and pick up the pace.
Sense, yeah.
And I think for me now, that's been immensely valuable. Like, how do you bring people through where you're actually, from everybody in the organization, you're trying to get them on board with something in a way that is from their perspective first, not from where you are, and then you expect everyone to pick up.
If I give you £40,000 today, you cannot put it back into the business. You have to start something new.
So I would set up a TikTok shop, run on a live stream basis, with a creator who is like cool and like has a thing, and I would create a store with them because I think it's so cool. There's a girl called Belle's Boutique, and it's like a shop. She does a nightly live stream. She has a warehouse, does it all herself in Essex, I think, somewhere. And she buys in like women's clothes and then she'll try them on, but she does all the marketing. It's just her. It's literally her personality, her modeling the clothes, marketing them, having a conversation with the people who are watching. She has like tens of thousands of people, I think, at times, maybe not that many, but thousands at least. Her views get hundreds of thousands of views. It's genius. It's so cool. It's like that with me is that if I had any time, I would be doing that on the side. Not maybe personally, but I would find a structure.
Find the structure, yeah. Find the creator.
Yeah, because even if you were to make like homeware and do it through that, or perfumes or whatever, even mixing it up, if you make it around an individual who has that connection, they can sell anything if they have that connection with an audience. So that thing for me, that's the biggest commerce opportunity I've seen, is in the personality-led QVC live stream selling for the Western market. China's already been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so Jordan, if you can, basically here you have our maze. You start here and try to get in here.
Can I hold it like this, yeah?
Yeah, you can hold it like
All right,
this, yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so close. No, there we go. Yes, there we go.
Yes. Nice one. You were very fast, actually.
Was that good?
It was very good.
Check the links in the description to learn more about Pop-Up. Hit the like button and subscribe to our channel.
So, Jordan, you came in today for a potential job offer. How do you think the interview went?
I think it went all right. I think it went pretty well. We got into the deep stuff. Went pretty, I mean, it was a grilling, but a nice one. So I can't complain. Fingers crossed. Yeah. Fingers crossed.
And if you do get the job,
yep.
What do you think of the boss? How do you think your work relationship will be?
I mean, from the sounds of it, we're pretty similar. So I think it would go quite well. It was quite nice actually speaking to somebody who's in that same level of impulsive meets, in an ordered way, chaotic, in a good way from work perspective. I think it's quite rare. So yeah, I think we'll get on pretty well.
Brilliant. Well, best of luck, mate.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.